Bianjuan propped his chin up with his hand and continued speaking. Based on intelligence, the zombies follow a certain movement pattern, leading us to speculate that there is a zombie king commanding them. Of course, Zombie King is just a title. It could be a powerful zombie or a mutant capable of controlling a large number of zombies and sustaining attacks on Tianhai City from multiple positions. Bianjuan raised his voice. Given this intelligence, we can conclude that merely eliminating the outer groups of zombies will be ineffective. Only by destroying this so-called Zombie King can we eradicate the zombie chaos in Tianhai City at its root. Therefore, from now on, I request that the major forces relocate the majority of their people underground to avoid passive and surprise attacks. Focus your elite troops on the main objective of eliminating the Zombie King. Bianjuan suggestion implied that Qingpu Base should abandon the steel mill, Ongsheng Base should abandon the oil refinery, and Zhaoyu Base should abandon the port. The three leaders of these forces looked at each other. Though there was some hesitation in their eyes, after careful consideration, they nodded in agreement. They were reluctant to abandon the resources above ground, fearing it would impact their future survival space. However, with someone from the Jiangnan region coming to unify command through actions, they found renewed strength. Sitting in a corner, the representative from Bashu Sect spoke up, "So what should we do now?" Zhang Yixian frowned, clearly displeased. They all had underground shelters, but Bashu Sect had nothing. Zhang Yixian stood up abruptly, addressing Mr. Bian, "You can't be biased in this matter." Hearing this, Bianjuan turned to look at Zhang Yixian. Coldly, he said, "You, Bashu Sect, have thousands of followers who joined your sect. Protecting them is your responsibility. Are you expecting us to protect you?" Zhang Yixian's face turned very unpleasant. Before he could retort, Bianjuan continued, "We can only build a tactical plan based on your current conditions. If you have no awareness, then you will only be destroyed by the zombies." Bianjuan didn't care who lived or died. He only cared about whether the zombie threat in Tianhai City could be eliminated to prevent the zombie virus from spreading further. Zhang Yixian clenched his teeth, his right hand gripping the chair tightly. "Theoretically, you want to see us sacrifice ourselves, and when the other forces move underground, Bashu Sect will undoubtedly become the biggest target for the zombies." Zhang Yi frowned, a hint of thought at the corner of his mouth. Zhang Yixian continued, "How can we and our followers survive in such a situation?" Xiao Honglian and Wei Dinghai showed disdainful expressions. They didn't care about the survival of Bashu Sect. Xiao Honglian even sneered, "Bashu Sect has so many followers, most of whom are not combat capable. If you don't have the capability, you shouldn't have recruited so many followers. Now that there's a problem, you should bear the responsibility." She had long disliked Bashu Sect and wouldn't miss this opportunity to mock and provoke. Zhang Yixian stared at Xiao Honglian, a murderous intent in his eyes. At this moment, Bianjuan spoke, "Bashu Sect has its own significance. If you cannot hide well, then you can serve another purpose." Bianjuan words gave Zhang Yixian a glimmer of hope. He asked, "Do you have a plan?" Bianjuan merely gave him a cold look. "For now, I can't tell you. It's a secret, but I will inform you within 3 days. Now, everyone, return to your respective bases and follow my orders to arrange your people properly. I will inform you of the next steps," Bianjuan said, maintaining an air of mystery. The others wanted to ask more questions, but he simply waved his hand, signaling them to leave. The group had no choice but to comply. After all, he was the envoy from the Jiangnan region, and they had to respect his authority. Under the jurisdiction of the Jiangnan region, they couldn't do anything but follow his commands. Everyone stood up and exited the meeting room. As Zhang Yi was about to leave, Bianjuan called him back. "Zhang Yi, stay for a moment." The others exchanged curious glances, wondering what Bianjuan wanted to discuss privately with Zhang Yi. Given that Zhang Yi was the only one who had successfully dealt with the zombie threat within his territory, it made sense why Bianjuan wanted to speak with him. Zhang Yi frowned. "Mr. Bian, is there something you want to instruct me on?" Bianjuan approached Zhang Yi. For the first time, his pale, gaunt face showed a smile. "May I visit your base?" he asked. Zhang Yi didn't expect such a request. Instinctively, he frowned, wanting to refuse. Despite knowing that Bianjuan Wu was from the Jiangnan region, he remained cautious and didn't want to allow any stranger near his place of residence. Zhang Yi laughed and said, "There's nothing special to see at my base. Other major bases have much better conditions than mine. My place is quite ordinary." Bianjuan Wu looked at him insightfully and said slowly, "Are you saying you don't want to welcome me?" Zhang Yi quickly raised his hands and smiled broadly. "Of course not, we would be honored to have you." Bianjuan Wu continued, "You don't need to be so anxious. I have no ill intentions towards you. We have no conflicts. Do you really need to be so wary of me?" Zhang Yi only smiled slightly, saying nothing. He maintained a cautious and skeptical attitude towards anyone he didn't know. Bianjuan Wu chuckled. "I just want to have an honest conversation with you about the process of eliminating those zombie groups." He leaned closer to Zhang Yi's ear. "Besides, I have a lot of information you don't know." This statement intrigued Zhang Yi. The Jiangnan region undoubtedly possessed much more intelligence than he did. Since the apocalypse, Zhang Yi had recognized the importance of information and had diligently collected all kinds of intelligence. After a moment of thought, he glanced at Bianjuan Wu and nodded. "All right, if you're so enthusiastic about visiting, we would be delighted to host you." After all, he was a person from the Jiangnan region. It was unnecessary to strain their relationship if it could be avoided. Bianjuan Wu walked alongside Zhang Yi as they exited the room. Their side-by-side walk made it clear that Bianjuan Wu held Zhang Yi in higher regard than the others. However, Xiao Honglian and several others did not show any dissatisfaction. They were enemies with Zhang Yi, and harboring resentment towards him was natural. The group stepped outside, where the tension in the air was still palpable. Chen Jingguan, who had lost one eye and had his head partially bandaged, was a sight that naturally caught everyone's attention as they emerged. Wei Dinghai's expression shifted slightly. He had anticipated this but couldn't help feeling anger upon seeing his aide injured. "Chen Jingguan, how's your eye?" Wei Dinghai asked in a deep voice. Chen Jingguan looked up at Invincible and Kong Sheng, who both wore faint smiles. "Leader, I'm fine," Chen Jingguan replied. "I just had a little skirmish with the investigation team and got hurt a bit." Admitting defeat in front of many people was embarrassing, and Chen Jingguan was smart enough to know that now was not the time to clash with people from the Jiangnan region. Wei Dinghai glanced at Invincible and Kong Sheng without saying anything, then patted Chen Jingguan on the shoulder, ready to lead him back to settle matters at the Zhaoyu base. Bianjuan Wu, however, looked at Invincible and Kong Sheng and said, "Didn't I tell you not to clash with them?" Invincible grinned. "These people might not respect us. We have to show them our strength so they won't hinder us in future operations." Bianjuan Wu adjusted his sunglasses and spoke calmly, "Don't let it happen again." Invincible and Kong Sheng replied with a laugh, "Understood, Captain." They knew their captain well. Establishing authority through strength was necessary. Without it, there was no reason for others to fear them. Zhang Yi remained silent, being the least affected by the incident. He didn't need to rush or prove anything to anyone. Xiao Honglian, Wei Dinghai, and Xingtian, on the other hand, had their own calculations. They realized they needed to be more cautious when dealing with Bianjuan Wu's group and couldn't afford to be too relaxed. As everyone prepared to leave, a sudden shout came from the second-floor window, "There's a group of zombies nearby." Everyone looked up to see a man in his 30s, wearing black combat gear, with a strong and lean physique. He held a black sniper rifle, an unusual-looking weapon that Zhang Yi had never seen before. The sniper was Qi Guangming, a member of the investigation team. Hearing Qi Guangming's words, everyone understood the gravity of the situation. From a distance, a large number of zombies appeared, their numbers reaching into the thousands. Xingtian spoke in a deep voice, "Gathering here in such large numbers and making so much noise has indeed attracted these damned zombies." The zombies climbed out of the rubble, their eyes gleaming with bloodthirsty light as they saw the large group of living humans ahead. They emitted strange, eerie sounds from their throats and suddenly began charging towards everyone, their primary targets. Xiao Honglian frowned and cursed angrily, "This is really bad luck. No matter where we go, we always run into them. Is Tianhai City just a zombie nest now?" Everyone prepared for battle, intending to kill all the zombies as quickly as possible. Wei Dinghai reminded Bianjuan Wu and the others, these zombies must be completely eliminated. If not, they'll carry information about us back, and next time they'll be even harder to deal with. Bianjuan Wu responded calmly, oh, is that so? He suddenly stepped forward, removing his sunglasses as he walked. When he took them off, everyone noticed that his eyes were not the usual black but a strange shade of yellow, with an eerie glow that deeply unsettled those who looked into them. As Bianjuan Wu moved to the front, everyone immediately understood that the Jiangnan region's investigation team leader intended to handle this himself. Zhang Yi's eyes sparkled with interest. He wanted to see just how powerful this team leader was. The zombies roared as they charged, now less than 500 meters away. At this moment, Bianjuan Wu looked ahead and spoke in a cold voice.